Hello, Alex. How are you?
Hello.
My name is Trey. I work with Delmi. Unfortunately, I did not go to Portugal, so I will meet you when you get to Utah. But just wanted to say welcome to the club, and really appreciate you taking the time this morning to
Yeah,
meet a couple of our local folks and just talk about the move. I'm the one that worked with you on the WhatsApp about your quote for the press release, so we're excited to have you.
yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope we meet you everyone in Utah back.
So let's just start with around the team in Portugal.
Sorry, can you say again because I didn't hear you for a while?
Yeah, no problem. Let's just start with maybe you sharing a few thoughts about the move from the Polish club to us, and then also about your first few days around the guys in Portugal and how that's been.
Yeah, first of all, it was like I think it was a big period between the teams, like negotiating and stuff. It was like a month. Was not easy because like the transfer window is a little bit different in US than in Europe. So we had a couple of issues like between the teams, but in the end of the day, everything was good, and yeah, I was happy. I think everybody in the end was happy about this, and it was exciting to be here. Was a lot of traveling around until finally meet my teammates and the staff here, and yeah, I'm very happy. I had a couple of trainings with the guys. Everything was good. I had my first minutes in the last friendly game, so I'm just looking forward to play more and know more the people here and just be as soon as possible like a very important part for the group.
Awesome, thank you. Alex Napolis, did you want to hop in here?
Yeah,
Sorry, can
hey,
you
this
say?
is Alex.
Okay.
Hey, this is Alex Napolis, KSL Sports. Alex, first and foremost, welcome to Real Salt Lake. What's been kind of your first impressions of just being around the team and being around the squad, and what do you see from the guys here?
Yeah, first of all, and that's I think the most important for a football player, that everything is like full organized, and you have everything that you need as a football player to be concentrated just to the trainings. I just saw a very good team and a very good players as a character, but as a quality also. I think we have a very nice group, and we can achieve a lot of things this year.
What have been what's maybe what did the club present to you that made you decide not only to join Real Salt Lake but to come over and play in Major League Soccer?
Yeah, from the first moment that my agent said to me about Real Salt Lake, I was happy. I didn't thought about to come or not. It was like an easy decision, as I said. In the end of the day, I didn't knew that if this was gonna happen, because it was like a lot of different stuff between the teams. But yeah, from the first moment, I was very happy to came. The way that the team approached me was very nice. They saw me from the first moment that they really want me. So for me, that was very important. And yeah, I'm happy that in the end I'm here.
And maybe for the fans that don't necessarily know you as a player yet, what would you say that maybe your strengths are as a player, and what's maybe some of the things you're looking forward to working at and getting better at while here at RSL?
Yeah, 100%. I'm like a fullback, up and down. I would like to help my team in offense and doing things that I can help my teammates score goals, and or I can score, and defending also. I don't like to lose a duel or something with my opponents, and I think I'm in a very solid level in defense, and there are a couple of things in offense that I improve. But yeah, I think I'm as a fullback is like up and down all the time, and I like this style, so I think everything will be okay in the team and the way that we're playing.
And then, Alex, last one for me. As a person, how would you describe? What are some characteristics that you would describe yourself that you're going to bring to this team?
I think the one word is fire and just the winning mentality that I think everybody has in the team. And as I said, I don't like to lose. It's like do everything about winning and get the 3 points every game.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Johnny, you're up.
Hey, Alex, welcome to Utah. Or once you get here, we can't wait to have you. My first question for you is, have you had a chance to talk much with Pablo about kind of like the tactics that he has and where he kind of sees you fitting in this group for the start of the season?
Yeah, we spoke sometimes, yeah, about tactic stuff. And after the friendly game, the staff saw me some clips and stuff that I need to do, how they want me to react in different phases of games. Also, they saw my first minutes in the last friendly games, and I think like during the days and moving to the last friendly game, we will have some more talks about tactic stuff. But so far everything is clear. They're just helping you 100% to understand and just to be part of the group.
Amazing. What have been some of your like first impressions of the coaching staff here at RSL?
Yeah, as I said, everything is very organized and professional. Like everybody is a lot of stuff, and everybody have a job and looking everything, all the details. That's very important. And it's not like just 11 players come on and just playing your game. And no, just all the details that we need to know. We analyze very good what we are doing in the trainings, what the opponent gonna do, and I think we are very well prepared about every game.
Amazing. And Alex, what are some of your goals with RSL this year? What are some things you want to achieve, personally and with the team?
Yeah, personally, as I said, I want to be a very important part of this team. I want to help my teammates, my team to achieve everything, and I think the target just to be on the top of every competition.
Amazing. And then last question for me, Alex, is I know, you've been playing in Poland. You're a Greek youth international. Throughout your career, what are some of the things that you're most proud of that you've accomplished already?
I'm proud about my first move. I just played 1 year in professional league in Greece, and then just get a transfer to Saint-Etienne in France. That I was very young, and I met very very big players and learn from them things that they helped me in my career. And I think it was like I can say like a football school there. So for me, yeah, that's the most important thing, and I'm very proud about this move when I was young. And I can say that I'm proud to be here, to be honest.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Alex.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Sean, did you want to ask a few questions here of Alex?
Yeah, Alex, welcome to Utah, kind of, sort of, even though you're not actually in Utah, I guess, technically, but welcome to Utah anyways. And I did kind of want to sort of get your non-football take about why you thought like Salt Lake specifically in MLS would be best for kind of your next move after being so well traveled in Europe like you've been.
Yeah, I think first of all, I don't have any, like always, I didn't have any problem with the country or where I will go. I just need to be the right team for me. And I think I have done a very good job with choices so far, and I think this choice is very very good because as I said, the team, like how they approach me all these weeks that they was negotiating with my ex team in Poland, and a conversation that I had with the coach, and explained to me like how he wanted me to play in offensive different phase of the game. And I thought that something that's sweet to me in my game and the game style that I have. So yeah, I was very happy to came, and I think I don't think it's the right decision.
And what was, you probably talked about this already. I walked in a little bit late, but what was your first impression of your teammates?
Yeah, as I said, I'm very very happy, and I see a good people first, and then very good players, like quality and that stuff. And I understand that the coaches, all the staff, and the players, they just want to have a family here, except that the football team. And I like to see like everybody to be together, everybody be like a family, treat each other like a very important part of the team. And yeah, to be honest, I'm very very happy about what I see so far here in Portugal.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. Welcome to Salt Lake. Like I said, can't wait to get you fully on the ground.
Thank you.
Hey, Alex, last question.
Yeah.
When you were investigating this move or considering Salt Lake, did you and your agents or your family, whoever, did you guys see pictures of the stadium and video of the fans? And if so, what is your impression of kind of the club's place in our community and in MLS?
Yeah, for sure. With my wife, with my agent, just like see some stuff about the town, about the team, so who is playing here, pictures about the stadium, as you said, about the facilities, to see like things that they are in your everyday routine if you are there. Yeah, I saw also, because I was in Utah for a medical for a day, I saw the stadium and the facilities, and was, I can say, like much better than the pictures. So I was very very happy. I saw a full stadium. I saw that there is a live stadium. Like the fans are there. They are like the 12th player that we need to be there and help us to win the games, and that's very very important. Everything is like, I can say, like in the top level. Like we have everything like a top team. Everything is organized and help the player to just focus on football and not other stuff. That is very very important.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, and enjoy the evening. And we look forward to seeing you in the game Friday, and then of course back here in Utah with the group.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Obvio, llegaste un poco tarde a Portugal, pero ahorita cómo ves al equipo, cómo van las cosas ahí en Portugal y cómo se siente para comenzar la temporada?
Bien, sabes, cuando llegué se nota la armonía que hay en el grupo, con tantos chicos jóvenes, su buena energía, su buena disposición para trabajar. Ha sido gratificante llegar y ver esto en el grupo. Ahora nos queda lo más importante, que es trabajar fuerte y trabajar bien para corresponder a lo que queremos durante toda la temporada.
Y cómo hubo mucho cambio en el cuerpo técnico, llegó nuevos asistentes, llegó nuevos directivos para llevar el club en un poco diferente dirección. ¿Cómo va su relación con los asistentes y cómo los ves?
Bien, muy bien, sabes. Son grandes personas que quieren aportarle al equipo. Estamos tratando de adaptarnos a ellos, pero bueno, Pablo ya tiene una idea clara sobre su equipo, sobre lo que quiere del cuerpo técnico. Entonces intentaremos acatar todo lo que ellos quieran para poder así sobresalir en cada uno de los partidos que tengamos y podamos hacer tácticamente lo que ellos quieren y poder progresar como equipo.
Bien. Y hablando después de la táctica, Pablo ha hablado mucho de que cómo quiere cambiar el estilo de cómo juega este equipo y cambiar un poco la táctica. ¿Cómo te has encontrado con este nuevo sistema que quiere jugar el profe?
Bueno, yo estoy para acatar normas, para poder aportarle al equipo. Ellos quieren seguir una táctica que ya tienen clara, entonces intentaré adaptarme lo más rápido que pueda a lo que ellos pretenden de mí, a lo que ellos quieren que yo les aporte al equipo y así poder sobresalir en esa posición. Ahí tenemos muy buenos jugadores que podemos hacer ese rol y la idea es que el equipo sobresalga.
Y la última de mi parte, Chicho, jugaste un pocos minutos en el último partido de amistoso contra en el último partido. ¿Cómo te sientes físicamente? ¿Cómo te sientes a poder regresar al terreno de juego?
Muy bien, muy bien. Yo venía entrenando en mi ciudad, entonces intenté entrenar un poco lo físico allí mientras venía. Entonces me siento bien. Ahorita tenemos una gran prueba el día viernes para poder ver cómo me siento y poder trabajar sobre lo que me haga falta. Entonces, a darle con toda y lo bueno es que tenemos buen cuerpo técnico, buenos preparadores aquí para poder prepararnos.
Gracias, Chicho.
Pues,
Sean, you're up.
Solo una pregunta para mí, Chicho. Bienvenidos al grupo después de esas cosas allá con la visa y todo lo demás, pero solo quería saber ah, cómo has crecido vos o cómo piensas que has crecido allá durante la off-season más. ¿Cómo eres un a un jugador mejor?
bueno, creo que en la confianza, tiene que responder uno frente a la confianza que le brinda el cuerpo técnico, los compañeros, el staff, y uno responde a esa confianza en la preparación, preparándote cada día, esforzándote al máximo. Entonces, pienso que eso me ayuda a crecer como jugador y también como persona, obviamente.
That's all I got, Trey.
Okay. La última pregunta de mi Chicho es ah, qué sonrisa su asistencia con el grupo y obviamente es muy difícil en Colombia y el gobierno de sus documentos y all that, but I guess how happy are you to be back with the group and how excited are you to be the leader of this team this season?
¿Qué tan
Fue un
feliz estás
proceso,
de... Oh, si le entendiste, tú ve.
sí, fue un proceso bastante largo donde faltaron algunos papeles y donde la embajada se demoró un poco, pero obviamente tienen muchos documentos que revisar. Pero también se logró estar acá, se logró tener este visado. Entonces, es algo positivo para mí, para mi familia. Y bueno, ya lo importante fue que el proceso terminó. Ahora estoy enfocado en poder entrenarme bien, en poder prepararme bien y estoy muy feliz de estar acá, de estar con todos los compañeros, de poder entrenar y de tener salud para poder desarrollar eso. Entonces, eh, tengo muchas expectativas en esta temporada. Queremos quedar campeón, queremos prepararnos para ello. Entonces, ese es el focus de esta temporada.
Gracias, señor.
Trey, can I ask a few
Gracias.
more?
Of course.
Chicho, le quiero preguntar específicamente a Fidel Barajas. Obvio, es una nueva incorporación al equipo. ¿Qué has visto del joven Fidel?
Bueno, lo he visto en estos dos entrenamientos, tiene un gran potencial como jugador. Esperemos poder ayudarle bastante para que pueda desarrollar todo su fútbol, brindarle esa confianza para que pueda estar tranquilo y no sienta presión durante los partidos. para que nos pueda aportar algo positivo dentro del terreno de juego. Entonces, va a tener toda la confianza de nosotros para que pueda desempeñarse bien.
Y después de la lesión de Pablo Ruiz el año pasado, hubo mucho, hablaron mucho el cuerpo técnico de qué importante es Pablo Ruiz a este equipo. ¿Cómo se siente tener Pablito para atrás en la cancha?
Muy feliz, la verdad, estoy muy feliz por él de que pueda retornar a las canchas. Es un tema complicado el de lesionarse, entonces yo creo que viene muy fuerte mentalmente porque lo sufrido durante estos meses, solo él lo sabe, solo él sabe el grado que tuvo de, de prepotencia, de poder tener ese chance de lo que sufrió para que así pueda surgir y tener un Pablo mejor del que teníamos. Entonces, creo que viene con muchas ganas. Estaba muy feliz de poder volver a jugar un partido que lo hizo el día de ayer. Me expresaba su felicidad. Entonces, ahí nos va a tener a nosotros también para poderle ayudar en lo que más podamos.
Y de último, háblanos un poco de la relación que tienes con Diego Luna, y cómo se encuentran, pues van a ser la pareja en el ataque esta temporada. Háblanos un poco de la relación que tienes con Diego Luna.
Bien, Luna es un gran chico que tiene unas capacidades muy buenas. Esperemos poder ayudarle bastante a él también para que pueda sacar todo su potencial y nos pueda aportar al equipo. Es un gran jugador, me la llevo muy bien con él dentro y fuera del campo. Entonces, esperemos que podamos sacar todo su potencial para que este año pueda hacer grandes cosas y se pueda vender al fútbol europeo también, ¿por qué no?
Gracias, Chicho.
Chicho, yo tengo unas dos para ti. Obviamente yo sé que fueron unas 48 horas muy largas para llegar de regreso a Utah y luego para llegar a Portugal. Sin embargo, al día siguiente ya estabas listo, querías entrenar, querías estar con el equipo. Háblame sobre la mentalidad tuya que has hecho para trabajar, para mantenerte como te has mantenido y estar listo para inmediatamente aportar al equipo.
Bueno, es de querer. Yo vine y me pegué ese viaje, fue para prepararme con el equipo, para prepararme física y mentalmente también. Entonces, en cuanto llegué, quería entrenar, me sentía capacitado para entrenar, logré descansar bien el día anterior, obviamente también, y bueno, de eso se trata, de querer, de poder, gracias a Dios, tengo salud para desarrollar mis entrenamientos. Entonces yo creo que era lo que quería, venir a entrenar, prepararme y bueno, con la ayuda de todos los compañeros que me recibieron muy bien, entonces muy contento de poder entrenar con ellos acá.
Y sé que Pablo ha tenido conversaciones contigo, con Justin Glad, con Zach, con otros varios. ¿Qué responsabilidad y liderazgo les ha dado Pablo y qué les ha dicho para este año y la temporada que viene?
Bueno, son todos unos grandes líderes que podemos aportarle a estos chicos jóvenes, obviamente con el respeto, con la amabilidad que podemos brindar cada uno de nosotros. Entonces, eh, yo creo que debemos asumir la responsabilidad todo el equipo, asumir esa responsabilidad. Obviamente, hay líderes en cabeza, tanto como Pablo como el cuerpo técnico que debemos acatar lo que ellos quieren y desarrollarlo bien. Entonces, es simplemente tener una voz frente a los chicos jóvenes para brindarles esa confianza que quieren tener para poder desarrollarse durante toda la temporada. Entonces, es eso.
Y por último, sabemos que te falta un gol más para llegar a los 100. ¿Es algo que está en tu mente? Te conozco y me imagino que sí, que quieres más de los 100.
Sí, claro, ya esta temporada ese es el objetivo. En la temporada pasada me lo frenó la lesión, pero en esta temporada vengo con toda la fuerza mental para poder conseguirlo y ojalá sean los primeros partidos, porque no en el primero.
sin embargo, eso te iba a preguntar, porque no en el primero contra Miami, ahorita me lo
Claro,
contestaste, ¿verdad? Eso es algo que tienes como meta, querer hacerlo en el primer partido.
claro, claro que sí. Para eso uno se prepara, para eso el equipo se prepara. Obviamente primero queremos ganar el partido y ya vendrán los goles. El objetivo principal es ganar y eso es en lo que nos estamos enfocando.
Perfecto. Muchas gracias, Chicho. Anything else, Trey?
Gracias. Un
Chicho,
abrazo.
gracias por su tiempo. Lo siento que mi español es bastante peor.
Está mejor, está mejor.
Gracias, señor. Nos
Gracias,
Abrazo,
vemos
chao.
la próxima semana, ¿ya?
Vale.
Adiós.
Trey. Again. Stop recording
Alex, Alex wants to know the status of your James Rodriguez negotiations.
We're playing golf later, and I'll let you know after that.
Just
No,
kidding. Go ahead, Alex.
Hey, Kurt, thanks for joining us this morning. Just a couple quick questions for me. As far as looking at the roster and what you guys have now, there's Pablo's been talking about the need for wanting to bring in a 10. What's kind of the status on that, and what are you guys continuing to look for in that?
The status of that is that we're very close to getting someone in, and hopefully we'll be able to let everyone know about that in very short order. When you say what we're looking for, you mean like the characteristics of the position, or what are you asking?
Yeah, sure. Characteristics of the position, as well as maybe the type of person that you want to bring onto this team.
Only good people. The type of person that we want to bring is someone who fits into the group. You know, look, I think we're looking for people that fit into the culture that we have here, you know, that Pablo's built. You know, we want people that care about the team, put the team in front of themselves, that work hard and that are bought in. As far as the characteristics of the position, we're looking for someone that is comfortable receiving the ball between lines and progressing it on. We're looking for someone that can make dangerous runs and stress the defense when required, and someone that can get in the box and hopefully get on the end of things and put up some goals and assists.
Real quick, I want to ask you in regards to Katranis, who just came in at the left back position. What did you guys see from him? And kind of what project was presented to him that made him want to come to RSL Lake?
What we saw in him was someone that we felt could run the whole line, and the way that we are looking at playing this season, the way that we wanted to change the tactics and the style of play, we felt we needed a left back that could contribute both in both final thirds, essentially someone who could get forward and you know be dangerous and put balls in the box, and someone who'd also then you know recover and get into good positions defensively and help us out on that end as well. So I think he's someone that has shown that he can get up and down and do good things. He's mentally tuned in and alert. He knows you know, he knows when there's danger, essentially. Like, I don't know the right way to say that is like, you know, he's got an alarm bell in his head. It's like, oh, yep, now it's time to get back, right? So those were important things that we looked at. We think he's got good feet. We think he can deliver a good ball into the box. We think he reads the game pretty well. And again, like I said, he can get up and down the line and play the whole thing.
Awesome. Thank you, Kurt.
No problem.
Go ahead, Sean.
This is kind of a weird question, Kurt, but I'm not really sure who else to ask it to, and it's not necessarily like a Pablo question per se. So maybe you can kind of shed some light on us, because it's obviously not ideal to have your multi-million-dollar striker like Chicho away from the team, even during preseason, although he's enough of a veteran that he probably didn't miss too much of a beat. But how important was it for him to be able to finalize everything with the paperwork to and kind of from this team perspective, it feels like what he was able to do legally, naturalizationally, I guess, could kind of help you guys out, I guess, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think getting this finalized was important to Chicho and his family, and gives them a phenomenal opportunity just in life. But it's also obviously important to us as a team, which is why we were willing to, you know, sacrifice that time to make sure it got sorted out. You know, him being a domestic player for us is very important in terms of how we build the roster going forward. So that was something that I think benefits all parties. It wasn't it's always a little bit of a grab bag sometimes when you're dealing with immigration and the government, and you know how quickly or slowly things can move. You know, when we got into that situation, we felt that Chicho would probably be able to join either at the beginning of preseason or shortly after. And it was just, you know, bogged down in paperwork and logistics and a lot of other important business that you know the embassies have to do, that things took as long as they did. But you know, we're putting that behind us now, and it's not ideal, like you said, to be missing someone like that for that period of time. But we've got him in here now. He's a quality player, and he's going to add a lot to the group. And you know, it's important now that he's starting to learn and pick up the shift in tactics and what we're trying to do this year.
And then what was kind of, you touched on this a little bit earlier, before you started to look at your current international lineup, and Alex, you touched on, and that sort of thing. But what's kind of been your sort of the number one thing that's kind of jumped out at you as you visited a couple of different prospects and a couple of different looks and that sort of thing, looking overseas in Europe, and just sort of that mentality of finding that diamond in the rough, I guess, in European circles, as opposed to maybe searching around MLS, well, or the lower divisions, USL, that sort of thing. Like, what have you kind of been noticing about the types of players that you guys are mining, I guess, over there?
I think we're mining good players. At least I hope so. That's my thought. But look, I think when you talk about USL, you know, there's been a growing separation, I think, between MLS and USL, and also between USL and USL League One, and you know, Next Pro, and how all those things fit in. Like, it's not quite clear just yet. But I think as more money has come into MLS, I think the separation between MLS and USL has grown. I don't think it's, you know, I don't think it's expanding at an amazingly alarming rate necessarily, because I think USL teams are putting more money in as well. And they're able to, I think, pick off guys that might end up being on the bottom of our roster, because, you know, even though our minimum salary's gone up, they maybe still can pay more, or let guys play more. So, but even though the level has been separating a bit, or it is a big jump from USL to MLS, I think that, you know, when you look at guys like Diego and Fidel, if you can, you know, if you find a young guy who's able to step into that environment with grown men that are, you know, putting food on the table and compete and succeed at that level, I think it's a really good indicator that you've got something. And you know, not every player maybe that does that is going to translate and go become a superstar or anything like that. But I think that it gives you an indication that here's a player at a young age that can handle himself in a league that is physical and with players that are more mature and physical than they are. And if they can do that, then the odds that they can step up a level are higher. You know, in recruitment, you know, you're really talking about, in scouting recruitment, you're really talking about like risk mitigation with some of these things. And, you know, the risk of a signing not working out, you know, we can decrease the risk of a 17, 18-year-old not working out if we see that he's had success at a first team professional level against players that are more physically and you know, even otherwise mature than they are. So that's that. And then, you know, in regards to, you know, Alex or Europe generally, I think, you know, obviously we spent a lot of time in South America over the past couple windows, and we signed a lot of players from South America. And so, you know, it's in MLS, I think it's always important in the years that I've been in the league to keep a good balance of sort of, you know, Americans, Europeans, and South Americans, and people that, you know, come from different backgrounds. And you kind of don't want to, it's a very, you know, it's not a very homogenous league. This league, it is a lot of mixes of styles and cultures. And I think it's important. It was important that we look a little bit in Europe as well, and we don't ignore any part of the world when we recruit, so we keep the balance of the team right.
I really like that last part about balancing the team, and I didn't think about that as much, about how focused you guys have been on South America, as opposed to Europe the last couple of years. So that's a really good point, I think, that you brought up. And so I got to just finish off with a capital J journalism question for my very last one, and then I'll pass you along. Have you able to have a nap recently after all the time zone changes that you've been through?
Uh, no, I actually don't nap very well. So no, I have not napped. I've slept more than I probably should have on planes, and I owe that to my wife giving me some like melatonin pills. So that's been helpful. But but no, I don't really nap very well, but I'm hoping I get some sleep on planes when I get there.
Hey, Kurt, before we get to Johnny talking about the balance and change, I was wondering with the first 5 weeks or whatever it is of preseason kind of under the belt, can you talk about the coaching staff changes and how Anthony, Nate, Hamilton, Mirza, Chapo, everybody have kind of integrated into Pablo's group, and maybe also what kind of changes or differences have you seen in how Pablo's running things?
Sure. I think that it's still, just like it's early in preseason for the players, it's still early for the staff. And I think that they've got a good working rhythm and flow, but they are still kind of settling into it. I mean, we just talked about it the other day before the Brumby game is, we hadn't really done pregame warm up and like what that looks like for them and who takes what and what are we doing and how we're going to change it, those sorts of things. And so settling into those like rhythms and routines is still something that's happening. Sean's been great. His ability to speak Spanish and communicate with the English and Spanish speakers in the locker room, has been super useful in terms of, keeping everyone bought in and engaged with the gym and the fitness side of things, which is sometimes a difficult thing to wrangle, but he's got a really good skill set to be able to do that and connect with players. Ant and Nate have done a great job of settling in as quick as possible, even though it's still a work in progress. But a division of labor and responsibilities that's been really good, and organizing how they work together and off of each other and support each other. That's been very positive. Along with Olave and Joel, and then Mirza. I don't ever worry about Mirza with the goalkeepers. I think he always does a great job there. And I think that they've brought a lot of intensity and energy in the training sessions, which has been a real positive. I think it's changed up obviously what we do in trainings. We're not doing, the guys that have been here for a couple of years, we're not doing the same things obviously anymore. And so I think that's created a little bit of an increased buzz and alertness and awareness and training, which has been a real positive. So yeah, I think the new staff has been a real positive so far, and I'm excited to see them. I think it's only going to get better as they get to know each other better and get to know the players better, and honestly get to work with some of the guys that haven't quite been here as long, like Chicho and Andreas and Nelson and these guys. So I'm really encouraged by how things are going.
Awesome, thank you, Johnny. You're up.
Hey Kurt, hope you're enjoying sunny Portugal. My question for you is, I know many will say that preseason is all about building fitness, kind of laying down tactical ideas, and not as much about maybe performance. But who have you seen that's kind of stood out to you so far through these trainings and first two games? And any surprises? Anyone that's kind of impressed you from the player side?
Good question. Who has impressed me? I don't want to say it, who impressed me. That sounds like egotistical, like I'm the only barometer. But who's played well? I mean, I think Fidel has had some really good moments when he's gotten on the ball. He's able to do some really good things individually. 1v1 defensively. He's got a good eye for the pass. He can shoot well. We've played him both a little bit more centrally and a little bit more wide. So trying to feel out where he's going to have the biggest impact. I think Vera's been very solid so far, as we've sort of come to expect from him. Who else has done well? I don't want to Yeah, I mean, look, I think some of these guys are just getting into it. Like Alex just had a few minutes, Pablo Ruiz a few minutes. I think Diego's coming out of national team camp, and he was really, really fired up when he first got back, and I think he's had some good moments as well. Chicho just got here. Yeah, I mean, I think some guys, some surprises, I think we've had a couple Monarchs guys and some Monarchs guys and some young players do really well. Um, two good, the two guys who've been playing in the pivot in sort of the second group behind Emeka and Ojeda have done really well. Aiden Herzakani from the academy has shown well coming from where he's coming from. I think for a young kid, he's come in and not really backed down. Gav made some good saves the other day. Zach looked sharp in his minutes coming back from injury. Trying to think of who else. Gozo, I think Gozo's been very, very coachable and is coming along as well, is learning every day. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that gets everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, Kurt. And then my last question for you is just how has this preseason experience been for you in your new role?
I don't think my new role has anything to do with how I'm experiencing preseason. But it's been fine. I think I'll be happy to get a couple of these deals over the line and get things done and settle that up. But yeah, I don't think it has a lot to do with new role and how I'm experiencing preseason, but just happy to get the roster set up and settled and go into the season.
Awesome. Thanks, Kurt.
No problem.
Hey, Kurt, listening to you kind of talk about some of those guys, and it's weird, like in my mind, I guess I sort of forgot about Vera. Like for guys like him who were acquired last year, spent a lot of last year sort of adjusting. You mentioned Chicho, obviously Nelson, Andres. What do you, I guess, are expectations higher, or is there just like a comfort level with everything kind of off the field that will allow kind of those guys going into their second full year with us or second year period, an opportunity to sort of escalate things because they're not adjusting or assimilating anymore?
I mean, yeah, like look, we've brought a lot of young players in over the past couple windows. I mean, why do you do that? Like everyone seems to think it's a good idea to do that, and then nobody seems to remember why. It's a good idea to bring in young players because they get better each year in theory. And we hope that we've worked with them and developed them to the point. And I think, when you look at some of the young players we've had, they were a lot better at the end of the season than the beginning of the season, right? And whether that's coaching or experience in the league or adjustment to the style of play or the speed of play or being settled off the field or a combination of all those things, those things can help a player really thrive going forward. So yeah, we expect a lot of those young guys to whichever of those factors is the most impactful on each one, but we expect those guys to take a step in their level and their performances going forward and think that they can do that. I mean, that's why we brought them in. That's why we bought some of them. And we think it's something that where we can rely on them a bit more as they've grown into their roles in the team.
I guess last question from me, does it break your brain, or do you feel pressure when you kind of contrast opening day in Miami is 2 weeks from today, but the 2024 season is 3 competitions over the next 10 and a half, 11 months. Because I think MLS Cup is 11 months away. So and maybe you don't care about that stuff. You just know we're going to have a bunch of games and different competitions, and guys are going to be in and out, and they're going to go from RSL to Academy to Royals and back and forth and all the Monarchs and all that kind of stuff. So I guess how do you sort of consume all that? Are you feeling any pressure for the first of the season being 2 weeks away, or is it just, hey, we know we got a lot of games ahead of us and we'll have certain guys in and certain guys out because of injury or immigration or form or whatever?
Yeah, I think like the pressure to start the season is always there because you've been off for so long and everyone is happy and feels good in preseason always. And then the first game of the season, things get real and things count and it's important. And so there's always a switch that flips. And I think, yeah, there is that pressure there. We know that's coming. I know that's coming. And it's exciting, but it's also, the realization or the acknowledgement that, yeah, this is coming and things are going to start to count soon, right? You can't, good performances that end in losses are, those are no long, moral victories don't count for anything in a couple of weeks. So that's all fine. As far as the competitions, look, like last year, I like our depth and I think we've brought a lot of guys back. Again, like I think we have a lot of good young guys that are, that are coming through. I like our depth this year as I did last year. I thought last year we utilized it really well. Pablo utilized it really well across all the competitions. And I think that we should be able to do the same thing this year when needed. So I don't look at it and think, oh my gosh, everyone's going to play 50 or 60 games. No, because I think we're going to rotate the squad enough, at times, and we're going to get to see some exciting young players, in their first minutes at some point this year. We're going to get to see, some guys get little glimpses of guys and see what's to come going forward. So I think that's always exciting to see, when you watch Monarchs, you see those guys. When you watch sometimes a reserve game, like in preseason, you can see those guys. But I think it's great when you can see them mixed in with, some of the first team guys and see what they can do in that type of environment is always interesting. So I just view that as interesting and exciting. And, I'm pretty happy with our depth. I mean, we've been playing most of preseason with our depth and while missing some guys. So I'm not I have no brain breakage over the number of games, Trey.
um, what did you hear about the experiences that Nelson and Andres had over the last 5, 6, maybe even longer weeks with Colombia, both the senior team and the Olympic team, and how do what are you expecting from them when they join the group next week?
Good question. I haven't had an in-depth conversation with either of them about their experiences. Pablo had spent some time with them recently and gone through some of that. And I think, he or they obviously could tell you more about what their experiences were directly in terms of, playing with that group versus our group or the full national team or whatever that may be. But I think, looking at it, I mean, Andreas did, I think, pretty well from the standpoint of the 23s and the games he got with the full team. And I think he's going to come in with some confidence. And I think he was a player that had confidence last year. And so I think he's probably going to come in, pretty engaged and feeling good. And, he's got a little bit of a knock that he got at the end of the tournament, but, we think he'll be back relatively soon. And then, yeah, Nelson was able to take on a bit of a leadership role with that young group in the 23s. And I think, from talking to their coach as well, like he was an important member of their group. And I think that responsibility and experience is good for him growing forward and maturing and, hopefully taking on some of that role, with us at different points.
Whenever I say last question, it means there's like 3 more. You talked about depth. Pablo talks a lot about the depth we used last year, right? 32 different guys making first team appearances across all competitions. Obviously, we had a great run in the Open Cup, a great summer where I think we, lost 4 times out of 25 games at one point. Pablo's also been pretty adamant that whatever happened last year was last year, and you don't just pick up where you left off. You have to start back down from zero. Does that philosophy make it, I guess, a little easier to assuage maybe concerns about replacing the goals that have left, the goals and assists, the goal creation, goal contributions, I should say, from Sava and Demir and Danny and Rubio? And it's just a whole new year and a whole new group, and obviously increased expectations on Diego and Andres and Chicho and Julio and whoever else is going to be contributing to that attack.
Yeah, well, look, Pablo's right. Preseason is a big, or sorry, the offseason is a big break, and teams don't just go from from the last game of the year into the first game of the next year and don't miss a beat. Like, a lot happens in that time, and you are starting again from zero, and it's always, what have you done for me lately? So that is correct. Trey, why do people always ask about how we're going to replace the goals, but not how we are going to replace the expected goals? Why is that?
Because nobody understands expected goals, and every website has a different model and a different number.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that we again bought some young players that we think are going to step up, and I obviously we have Chicho for a full season, and we're bringing in another good attacking piece that we think can chip in with some goals and assists, and we expect increased contributions from guys like Diego and Andreas, and I think Fidel comes in and takes a role, and maybe he gets some as well. And I thought Justin Glad did a good job of getting some goals last year as well. And so I think that it's not so much about replacing those goals as it is just about, okay, this is the group we have now. How are we going to manufacture goals? Right? Are we gonna score like this? Are we gonna score like that? Are we gonna be a set piece team? Are we gonna just hope, lump the ball into the center forward and hope he does things all on his own? Like, it's just about, this is our group now. Like, it doesn't matter what the group was last year and what they did, but this is the group we have now. How are we going to put the ball in the back of the net? And so that's what the coaches are working on, and that's irrespective of what happened last year.
Do you have any general thoughts? This really is my last question about the tactical switch. I mean, Pablo has tried to explain it to us in a few recent sessions about the 4-2-3-1 and what's expected of a wing back and who goes in and out, and Diego in a free role, and people playing underneath Chicho and all that stuff. Just how do you think that advancement or that switch makes us, I guess, maybe more diverse tactically or dangerous in terms of changing on the fly in game from what a lot of guys were used to playing last year and maybe even the year before?
So for sure, I'll leave it to Pablo to explain all the nitty gritty of the tactics, since that's his job and that's what he's working on with the team and the coaches and all that. But yeah, look, we're looking to build in a different way than we did last year. We want to build with three in the back, and in possession, look like essentially like a 3-2-4-1, and have the two pivots inside in front of the three center backs or the three defenders, push our fullback high, have our one other winger stay wide and high, and have one winger tuck in underneath, and have our number 10 drop in underneath to the other side. So that's kind of what we're trying to do in possession as we build, and need to create through that setup. And so yeah, I don't know, free rolls and these things, right? Like, it's all about like that system, and even how we build in those tactics. The only important thing is that we try to highlight and accentuate the strengths of the players that we have, right? So that's what we think can do that. If at any point we don't think that's going to work with this group, then yeah, maybe we'll change it. But I think it gives us a structure, and I guess a structure to fall back on. And if we can, you're almost programming it into the players so that in the game you're not taking decisions away from them, but you're making decisions easier, if that makes sense. And so if they know, like, okay, I'm supposed to be here when the ball's here, in this situation I do this, when the ball goes here I do that, you're giving them essentially a blueprint. And it's still a very free flowing game, and a game where players need to solve problems on the field, but you try to give them as many solutions as you can before the game in training, so that they aren't going through an infinite list of solutions when they presented with a problem, but maybe they've got 4 solutions and they pick the best one of those, and that simplifies the game for them and hopefully lets them shine with their individual ability.
You brought up XG a minute ago. Is it similar with tactics where, like Bruce Arena says, formations is just what you line up with at the beginning of each half, and the rest of the game is, three players in spaces or triangles or philosophies or pressing or all the other things. Do you feel like we should be talking more about philosophies and tactical, I guess, miniature versions of it, as opposed to getting caught up in 4-4-2, diamond, flat, bucket, blah,
Yes.
blah, blah?
No, nobody should get caught up talking about formations. That is a fool's errand. But yeah, I mean, it's to some degree, it's correct, right? A team could line up in a 5-3-2, and every time they get the ball into the attacking box, they get 3-4 runners in. And then another team might line up in a 4-3-3, but every time they get the ball in the box, there's 0 or 1 runner. And so one formation is in theory defensive, one's attacking, but in which setup are you more dangerous? So it's kind of irrelevant what is drawn up on the TV screen or the piece of paper before the game, but it's more about what you're doing. How are you going to create chances and score goals? The solutions that you're giving to players. So that's more important, and that you're highlighting the players' strengths. That's all you're doing. Like you're putting someone in a position where this is your starting point, but everything after this is up to you, really. And here are some options, but this is your choice. And yeah, the formations, don't get caught up in formations. There's a couple things that you can do formationally that do shift, what a player needs to think about. But yeah, largely it's like, look, this is the starting point. After this, you've got to make the decision and figure things out.
Awesome. Kurt, thanks so much for your time today. If no one else has any questions, we'll let you go. Oh, somebody did raise their hand. Johnny?
Just Johnny.
Oh boy, it's me. And I'm just going to prolong this one last question. I know, just kind of taking after Trey here. Sorry, Kurt. You mentioned about highlighting players' strengths and, just a bunch of great answers about formations and tactical philosophies. I wanted to talk about Andrew Brody a little bit. This season, I talked to him in, his pre-media day presser about just kind of how he was excited about pushing forward a little bit more. And I guess in my mind, just when I see Brody, I always think of him, at his best when he is kind of in that wing back role and he's able to cut inside. Going forward, is that kind of maybe another way that we've thought about maybe changing the tactical philosophy, is like also just kind of be, like you mentioned, getting our fullbacks forward. But do you think this will also help Andrew maybe have a better season this year?
I would say that we're not gearing the team's sort of tactical approach to one player, whether that's Brody or anybody else. I think there's roles within this setup that will really suit what Brody brings to the table. I think he's shown that in training, and I think he's going to continue to show that. So it just depends on how we see matchups and lineups, how the coach sees his performance in training in terms of where he's going to play and how it helps the team the most. But I do think there's a couple roles in this setup that really suit, I think, his strengths. And like it's I'm looking like 3 years ago when he first kind of broke in, he was at his best when he was carrying the ball off the dribble, breaking lines, cutting defenders out of the game, and then slipping balls and getting into the final third. I don't know that he did that quite as much in the last season, and it's something that we talked a little bit about in his postseason meeting, and I think he's worked really hard in the offseason. He's been training really well, and something that I think we've seen even a little bit more of in the 2 preseason games, and so it's good to see.
Awesome. Thanks, Kurt.
No problem.
All right, guys. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Kurt. Travel safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. See you.